Good day to the one fearfully and wonderfully created by God. I welcome you to Prospect Media. Prospect Media is a channel that shares Nigerian and international men of God sermons. Dear listener, is this your first time of joining this channel? If it is, kindly subscribe and turn on the notification button.
Cut the long story short, we ended up spending up to 20 million naira. I remember one time I returned from a meeting and I was met with a very serious distress call. And on responding, I was told that the abductors had taken some people that were affiliated to me. It was a group of people who had returned from a program, and all of them were abducted, and they were given 24 hours to present 50 million naira, else every one of them would be slaughtered. And because they were closely related to me, we mobilized, to inform the law enforcement agents, but clearly there seemed to be only so much they could do. And sadly, we had to get people, even of other faiths, to be able to talk perhaps with the abductors, if they could show kindness and mercy. And you would not believe the cruelty that came, cruel statements from those conversations. Sadly, one was shot on the foot. Usually those levels of mayhem are unleashed to get you to see that they are serious. To cut the long story short, we ended up spending up to 20 million naira. Even in the presence of law enforcement agents, thankfully they were all released. And we had the opportunity. You see, the challenge is when these people are released, they still are not fine. The trauma that they have to go through, some of them go through rape, some of them go through all kinds of traumatizing things, and it's one thing to get them free, then begin a process of constructive rehabilitation. Because some of them, even without the activity of terrorists again, they may end up dying. The trauma becomes too much, you see. And so I'm not just saying this as a lecture. These are realities that some of us have been forced to live with, especially when you become a leader within these regions. You cannot shy away from being part of the process that leads to some of these things. And so I'm just using that to point that the church has played very significant roles on this wise. Furthermore, the church has played significant roles in resolving ethnic and religious clashes in many parts of Africa, and in fact have become partners with government and law enforcement agents in the promotion of peace, tolerance, and mutual respect. Religious bodies have actively organized peace concerts. Our organization has done that too as a case study. And so my work started largely in Zaria, for those of you who are familiar with Nigeria. And for many years we experienced all kinds of religious crises. And so we came up with an initiative to hold periodic peace concerts. And the intent is not to advocate fanaticism. I'll be talking a bit about that before I conclude my discourse. And we successfully brought people from all religions, taking away all kinds of prejudices and promoting love. And you wouldn't believe how productive these concerts were. People came, we had all kinds of welfare activities, and people, Christians, Muslims, and any other person in between, they came, and it was very productive. I can tell you today that I have very good friends that cut across the religious divides. Very productive discussions. We may not agree on the core matters of faith, but I do not think it's been enough reason to hate, to fight, and so on and so forth. Are we together? Okay, so religious bodies have actively organized peace concerts, interfaith forums, sport activities, and public discussions in many parts of Nigeria and sub-Saharan Africa, with a view to bridging the gap of intolerance and promoting peace and mutual respect. Challenges and criticisms. Like every and any other system led and managed by humans, there will always be limitations, compromises, excesses, and ill practices. Faith spirituality and religion has had its share of the aforementioned challenges. This has led to criticisms from various quarters and strong reservations as to the overall relevance and practice of faith in our contemporary society today. There is still a lot of growth and improvement, truly, that needs to be brought to the current context of faith and spirituality, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa. Matters of neocolonialism by the religious and political elites, advocacy of laziness and irresponsibility through wrong and extremist teachings, lack of transparency and accountability in leadership, even Christian leadership, moral failures within faith-based systems are all issues that, whether now or in the future, I presume, will have to be confronted if the relevance of faith in nation building and socio-economic development is to be preserved. My concluding thoughts. It is very clear that faith and spirituality still hold great significance in shaping the African continent as far as its future and destiny is concerned. But it is also very clear, and sadly so, still falls short of its potential. I have a very brief discussion with the head of politics at the Abuja US Embassy. Subjects that we spoke about was the idea of the kinds of teachings that people become victims of the orientations that come to them. And because Africa is a very religious continent, most of the ill taught and practiced in Africa, there will have to be a growing orientation that transcends faith, spirituality and religion from a mere advocacy of fanaticism, societal transformation and nation building, to one that will in greater measures spearhead the campaign for moral excellence, honor to all men. We must introduce superior policies that stimulate great growth and development while preserving the fundamental human rights of all and sundry. This way, faith and religion will remain potent forces of change, socio-economic development, and will become the world at large. I hope that these thoughts that I've shared with us have helped us to really see that in the midst of all the conflicts that surround faith, spirituality, and religion, that from the lens of history and from the factors that I've put before you, I think it is safe to say that faith still holds value and relevance in our contemporary society, especially sub-Saharan Africa.